Hey everyone, this is Black and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll look at the Arctic Wolf hero, the Blood Kit. This is a variant that doesn't see much gameplay. While the Arctic Wolves are pretty good overall, this is the worst variant among the Arctic Wolves. Add to the fact that it's a hero and there's little incentive to buy this mech. The reason behind its relatively poor performance is its focus on ballistics. A 40 turner simply can't mount much ballistic firepower, and therefore missiles and energy are the preferred type of weapons on smaller chassis. This is what the other Arctic Wolf variants do, and they're pretty successful at it. Having said that, the Blood Kit as a clan battle mech is quite flexible and there are some viable options which I'll take a look at before I jump into my preferred build. Looking at the hardpoints, it's got 2 high mounted ballistics, 4 total energy on the arms, and a CT missile hardpoint. The CT missile is kind of useless. While you can do a joke LRM build or maybe supplement an LB10 Brawl build with an SRM, I see no reason to run these when you have the ACW-1 Splatwolf. Any kind of energy building is also suboptimal since the C-built Omni-Mech versions will give you more energy hardpoints and the ACW2 gives you 2 high-mounted energy for ERPPCs. Therefore, you must use the ballistics somehow to make the Blood Kit worth spending MCs on. The first build I ran on the Blood Kit is the UAC-10 ERML build. However, with its high jam duration and high heat of the ERMLs, over the course of the game it doesn't output enough damage, either due to the UAC jamming or when you try to use the lasers to supplement damage, you run into your heat cap. Gauss ERML is doable, but here the problem is no longer heat, but the long cooldowns of both weapons limiting damage output. Whenever I do see Blood Kits being run, I often see a single UAC-20 or LBX-20 with lasers. Not unreasonable, but my biggest problem with these sort of builds is that it forces you to engage pretty close up, and the Arctic Wolf is not at all tanky. You're basically gambling with whether the enemy will focus you or your teammates, so these builds are not reliably good. They will also depend on the arm lasers for much of their firepower, and if you look at how big the arms are once you add the weapons to them, you can see that they are easily shot off. I want to therefore find a build that allows me to do enough damage while keeping the mech safe. Therefore, it's ideal to put as much mid-range to long-range firepower as I can on the 2 high-mounted ballistics. What I came up with is a build that focuses on the 2 UAC-5s. I first experimented with just the 2 5s and found that while it does really well in the beginning to mid-game, the end of the match where brawls start to happen, or on NASCAR maps, the 2 5s can't keep up with the damage necessarily to finish off enemies, and therefore I added 2 ERS cells to supplement damage during those situations. It may surprise you to know that the 2 UAC-5s actually have almost as much sustained DPS as a single UAC-20, and almost 30% higher DPS than the LBX-20, with the jams accounted for. If you need the math, I'll link the DPS stats in the description below. The big advantage of the UAC-5s is that you can engage early and more independently because of its range. So you can start harassing and plinking the enemy at the start of the game. The JJs will allow you to get into all sorts of positions where you can get line of sight on the enemy. The UAC-5s are also way more accurate than either the UAC-20 or LBX-20. If your team is super passive, no problem. Use your speed and range to start putting in 20 points of double tap damage at a time. Enemies looking your way? No problem either, because you're not exposing much due to your high mounts, and you get back to cover very quickly due to the chassis' agility. Use your speed to reposition when you draw too much attention. These 2 elements are the essence of making this build work. Start shooting early since you have plenty of ammo to work with, and about 800 meters of effective range, and use those high mounts and speed to avoid return fire as much as possible. Don't waste ammo on bad shots, but the real limiter of your damage output is when you don't have enough time to do damage. You'll have way too much ammo left over by the end of the match if you're not proactive enough at the beginning, so you need to look for shots before the 2 teams are set in their positions. When we look at the skill tree, we do not need any heat gen or cool run nodes because the build will never overheat. Instead, we'll focus on cooldown, range, and velocity in the firepower tree, get full survival nodes, and speed tweak. Alright, match time. Alright, this match is on Grimplexus. Grimplexus being a long-range map, until it gets to a NASCAR, is pretty good for this build. As I mentioned, it starts off long range and then it can close to brawl range sometime during the middle of the match. So, as I said, you can see this Commander and I were far ahead of like pretty much everybody else, taking early shots at the guys at Hotel 7. That's what I mean, just find shots. Don't just stay in the back and just play support. Just go and actually get shots early on the match. But I see there's I think I saw there was like mechs that's pushing on to our positions, so that's why I wanted to, both the commander and I kind of just boogied out of there. And indeed, you see that Timberwolf trying to flank us on our right. So it's okay to go and take some of these, shots over at 800. Even though you might miss, you have a lot of ammo, so it's not a big deal. So the flank threat is no longer there, and so we can continue to use this hill over here and peek over it and start hitting the enemies over on the other side. And you should be able to see how high those ballistic mounts are. Just kind of peek over and start hitting people and it's really hard for them to return fire. Like this Warhammer here was trying to shoot me and he just could not get like a burn on me because I just not exposing very much. We're also at the range right now where we can start using your small lasers from time to time, even though it's not doing full damage. If you're exposed enough, then go ahead and use your smalls. So we're gonna move to our right a little bit, and because there was too much going on there, I need to give my teammates some angles to shoot from. I can see right now we're engaging at 500 meters. Like on a UAC 20 build or LBX 20 build, this would be not optimal at all. There would be too much spread on the UAC 20s, and then the too much spread on the LB 20s, and the UAC 20 would have bullet drop and like velocity effects, so you're not going to be as accurate at 500. We don't really want to spend our ammo on this assassin because how quickly it moves, we can end up wasting a lot of shots. I exposed just a little bit too much right there. I don't need to move up as high as I did. But even with that, the King Crab kind of wanted to back down because his low mounts are just going to have a hard time hitting me, even though I'm exposed for a little bit more than I wanted to. This assassin's just tough to hit. Jump jetting and all that. You can see my arm is starting to open up already, right? I'd rather give up my ER small lasers than like getting my torso shot up. So you still want to shield with the right arm. Remember when I said that your arm is gonna get shot up a lot? Like, if you try to run it with the LB build with the ear smalls on the arms, you'll see what I mean. We're up pretty big now, so just need to finish off these last guys here. So the Black Lantern usually has most of its weapons on the left side, so I wanted to see if I can try to, even though his right torso is open, like I want to see if I can take out his left side. In retrospect, that probably was not the right decision, but I tried to do that anyways. Like as soon as he realized that I'm just an Arctic wolf, like he just turned around and started shooting me. And he was running away from me at first. Okay, last guy, and we finish him. Okay guys, if you have the blood kit, give this a try. It might not work for everyone because of how far up ahead you are sometimes. You do need good situational awareness to predict pushes. But I think it's worth running, and definitely it's my favorite build thus far on the variant. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to this channel and check out my playlist of other medium mechs in the description below, and I'll see you next time.